It is here, among the idyllic vineyards of the Loire River Valley, where France sought to pioneer its efforts to combat radicalization of its Muslim youth. This country manor was the first of the government's reintegration centers, where young Muslims at risk were to come, sing the national anthem, and be immersed in the secular principles that underpin the French Republic. In principle, the town welcomed the idea, but only initially.
Most people were of a spirit to say, why not? Let's try to do something. Today, we see that it did not work. It was a failure.
Attendance was voluntary and only a handful of young Muslims came. Those who did scared the neighbors. Some residents formed an association to protest.
L'association n'est pas contre le traitement de la radicalisation.
The association is not against dealing with de-radicalization, but simply one has judged that in this location, that is Beaumont-en-Véran, in the middle of an inhabited place, is not the place for de-radicalization. One had a fichesse. We had a person with psychiatric problems. We had a person who belonged to one of the most dangerous jihadist groups in France, the Strasbourg Network, and links to one of the Bataclan attackers. So we had figures who really raised the question about a danger that was evident.
French government officials agree with the locals that the project failed.
Precisely my sense is that de-radicalization proves so difficult. And there we've experimented a first center of reinsertion, we say in central France, and social acceptance from the neighborhood proved very low. And we were imposed very restrictive criteria, and in the end, it didn't work.
The neighbors' complaints point to underlying social attitudes in France that make de-radicalization a difficult subject to raise in a once Catholic nation where secularism is now sacred.
One of the major obstacles was laïcité, the ideology that the state, the government, should not interfere with religion, which is a private matter.
Government officials call it a process of trial and error and are now examining ways to reach marginalized Muslims at a younger age, an approach supported by peace activist Latifa Ibn Ziaten. Originally from Morocco, Ziaten's son, a French paratrooper, was killed in a 2012 terrorist attack. She now lectures school groups.
Today, a young person should be followed from nursery school to middle school. What's happening is the opposite, and by then it's a bit too late.
A play called Jihad, the story of young Belgian Muslims who are radicalized in Syria, is making the rounds in France. Like Latifa, its actors believe radicalization should be addressed at a societal level.
The subject is very complex. We cannot put it entirely on the back of the state. The play does not pretend to provide any answers or solutions, but it tries to get the viewer to ask himself the questions about what the essence of what goals these young people have set for themselves and what drives them to do it.
The plan was to set up centers like this one in every region of France. That will not happen. Now, the government under new President Emmanuel Macron seeks to draw from the lessons of failure and search for a new way. Luis Ramirez, VOA News, Beaumont-en-Véran, France.